disposal of waste drying up Sakumono wetland. President of Venezuela threatens to close down factories that have stopped production and jail their owners. And in France, female ministers decry sexual harassment. Hello, good evening. It's News Hour on GBC 24. My name is Shirley Annan. It is announced for the information of all government pensioners and the public that the intended headcount and biometric validation of the government of Ghana Cap 30 pensioners has been rescheduled to 30th of May 2016. The initial date for the exercise was Monday, May 16, but it is now going to start on May 30 at the designated centers in 5 regions: Greater Accra, Volta, Eastern, Central and Western regions. A statement signed by the acting controller and accountant general says a detailed schedule for the exercise will be subsequently published in the national dailies. Any inconvenience caused is deeply regretted. Pollution and other human activities along the Sakumono wetland have been identified as a leading cause of the drying up of the wetland. At this year's World Migratory Birds Day, environmental experts are asking the relevant state agencies and individuals to protect and preserve water bodies across the country.
World Migratory Birds Day is a UN-sponsored international day celebrated with a focus on migratory birds. These birds are wetlands birds as well as land birds that travel long distances across the world, linking continents such as America, Europe and Africa. It is estimated that about 70,000 species of different birds fly into the country at a particular time from Europe and northern African countries. These birds normally fly in the months of October and March every year to feed and rest along the banks of wetlands. The Sakumono Ramsar site is one of the 5 wetland sites of international importance that serve as habitats for these migratory birds. However, encroachment, littering and pollution by urban dwellers around the site is gradually drying up the once vibrant wetland which hosts these birds. According to environmental experts, the population of these migratory birds in the country is declining because their source of survival is being degraded. Managers of the site, Friends of Ramsar, celebrated this year's World Migratory Birds Day with a focus on the need to conserve and protect the Ramsar site from further destruction.
People are bent to destroy the Ramsar site, especially the Sakumono Ramsar site, which government has acquired and paid full compensation. We are aware that we have sent so much petitions and to government and nothing has been done. We are calling upon them to take a decisive action. If the place is no more important to them, after nobody forced them to go and sign the treaty. If they are not interested, they should come out and tell us so that all these things will stop.
A traditionalist, Ni Ejay Kraku, who is also an environmental expert, also expressed concern about the drying up of the site.
We have seen in Ghana that a lot of the Ramsar sites are being abused. They are not taking interest in it. They are encroaching the place seriously. Trees are being cut haphazardly, and the river is dwindling all the time. The lagoon is dwindling all the time. The natural resources which are around this area are not being put to proper use.
Earlier, Friends of Ramsar marked the day with a number of school children at the Ramsar site, educating them on the need to stop killing birds. Some of the school children spoke to GBC 24 on the importance of the environment to birds.
Nowadays, people are polluting the waters and the birds go far away from us. We don't get close to them. So we are encouraging the government to come and take action.
We are appealing to the government to come to our aid so that the birds can live. Without birds, we are not alive.
This year's World Migratory Birds Day was on the theme Stop the Illegal Killing, Taking and Trading of Birds.
The Minister for Environment, Science, Technology and Innovation, Mr. Mahama Ayariga, says the rising temperatures caused by human activities are increasingly becoming a threat to life. Mr. Ayariga pointed out that if issues of climate change, which have great effects on agriculture, are not addressed, people will be laboring and yet poverty levels will continue to rise. The minister was speaking during the first regional roadshow on the Paris Agreement on Climate Change held in Wa. The paramount chief of the Abiaze traditional area and president of the Central Regional House of Chiefs, Dasibre Kwebu Ewuzi, will by July this year be on the throne for 20 years. The Traditional Council has launched the 20th anniversary in Accra. The Central Regional Minister, Mr. Kweku Ricketts Hagan, who attended the launch, pledged to partner the chief to bring development to the Central region.
Dasibre Kwebu Ewusi is the paramount chief of Abiaze traditional area and the president of the Central Region House of Chiefs. He became a paramount chief in July 1996. He will have reigned for 20 years in July this year. The launch of the 20th anniversary and the impending Abiaze Ahumba Kese Festival attracted a lot of people, including sub-chiefs in the traditional area. Dasibre Kwebu Ewusi is on record to have facilitated the construction of some infrastructure including school buildings throughout the Abiaze area. He has also provided a 25-acre land as campus for the Abiaze State College. The Central Regional Minister, Mr. Kweku Ricketts Hagan, praised the chief for the good work he's been doing for his people and promised to support him. Dasibre Kwebu Ewusi spoke about some of what he's been doing for his people.
The provision of numerous learning and teaching aids of all kinds. The main support for the community secondary school in diverse finances. I mean both recurrent and capital expenditure and otherwise. These and many more have I been able to do after organizing my benevolent activities into a registered foundation, the Nana Ewusi Foundation, so as to make this stream of support sustainable through knowledge-based and network of financial partners.
In an interview, the principal coordinator of the Abiaze traditional area, Nana Benyin, spoke about the upcoming festival and its significance.
As we come to celebrate Ahoba Kese, it is not just the pomp, it is not just the pageantry, it's not just the entertainment, but he is calling on the people of Abiaze that we should become selfless and dedicate ourselves to move our community forward.
The cloth for the 20th anniversary celebration was launched and funds were also raised for the festival.
Teaching Hospital's Blood Bank and the Seventh-day Adventist Church have embarked on a blood donation exercise to replenish the stock levels of the hospital. The public, especially the elderly, were also screened for various ailments. A report by Sarah Ofori.
Lots of people, especially the elderly, had come to have themselves checked. They checked for their body mass index to determine whether they were obese, overweight, normal or underweight. Blood pressure and sugar levels were also tested. Those who wanted to know their blood groups were taken through tests as well. House officers from the Kolebu Teaching Hospital gave those who required it free consultations.
For the ones I have seen, some are a bit overweight, some very few are obese. So the advice we give them is to check their diet and also embark on regular exercises. For those whose body mass index are high, are on the high side. And then for the BP patients who already knew, we advise them to adhere to their medications, because what I realized was that they were not regular with their medications. Some told me they've not taken their medications in a week. Others have decided to resort to herbal medications and have abandoned their BP medications.
The Seventh-day Adventist Church designates May of each year as Health Emphasis Month. According to the head of the Laboni branch and the publishing as well as health director of the Southern Union Conference, Pastor Isaiah Morrison, the gospel can only be preached to a people of a sound mind.
You cannot predict a person's life during the day or at any point in time. When there's an accident, there's always a need for blood. And so many lives can be saved when blood is available at any point in time. So we do blood donation so that in case of any emergency, it could be our own church members, it could be the community, it could be any member. And because the essence of the gospel is to save lives, ultimately, you can do that when you save a person's life physically. It's only when a person is alive and healthy that you can preach the gospel to him.
Staff of the Kolebu Teaching Hospital Blood Bank were on hand to ensure that blood was safely collected without casualties. The outreach was also held under the auspices of Christline Choir of the youth wing of the church as part of their 5th anniversary celebrations. Sarah for GBC 24, Accra.
A 3-day annual conference of the Accra Central District of the African Methodist Episcopal Zion Church has ended in Accra with a Thanksgiving service. The event is held for elected and appointed officers of various congregations to give account of their stewardship in such areas as evangelism, Christian education, and finance. The 3-day conference, which started on Friday, was attended by members of Accra Newtown, Achimota, Nima, Medina, and Denta New Site branches of the church. It had the theme, Building a Legacy with God in Times Such as This, our Self-Sacrifice. The conference saw participants educated on stress management and financial empowerment. The Thanksgiving service began with a choral selection by the Accra Central District Mass Choir. In a sermon, the presiding elder of the district, Reverend Felix Dodo, advised Ghanaians not to do anything that could incite people into violence in this election year.
I'm saying Ghanaians, we have done elections before. This one is not the first, and it is not going to be the last. Therefore, it shouldn't be a do and die matter.
Some members were given certificates to undertake preaching and other activities for the growth of the church. We'll bring you more after this break. Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro has threatened the seizure of factories that have stopped production and the jailing of their owners. In a speech to supporters in the capital, Caracas, he said the country had to recover the means of production to counter its deep economic crisis. On Friday, he introduced a new nationwide state of emergency. Opposition protesters have been rallying in Caracas to push for a recall vote to eject him from power. Mr. Maduro said the state of emergency was needed to combat foreign aggression, which he blamed for Venezuela's problems. He said military exercises would take place next weekend to counter foreign threats. There are severe shortages of food, medicines, and basic goods, which Mr. Maduro argues are due to business leaders and the U.S. waging an economic war against his government. 17 women who have served as ministers in France say they will no longer be silent about sexual harassment in politics. All 17 signatories to the declaration are current or former ministers. Among them is Christine Lagarde, the head of the International Monetary Fund, and France's former finance minister. On Monday, the deputy speaker of the National Assembly, Denis Bupin, resigned over sexual harassment claims, which he denies. A suicide attack by Islamic State militants on a gas factory near Baghdad has killed at least 11 people and wounded many more. Early on Sunday, a car blew up at the entrance of the facility in Taji, about 20 kilometers north of the capital. Officials in Baghdad say 6 attackers wearing explosive vests then entered the plant and clashed with security forces. IS, which holds large parts of western and northern Iraq, have staged a number of attacks in Baghdad recently. In the West, violence in the city this year, car bombs killed 93 people in a market in a Shia Muslim area of Baghdad on Wednesday. A suicide attack claimed by the Islamic State group has killed at least 25 people in southern Yemen. Officials say the bomber detonated his explosives outside a police base in the port city of Mukalla, killing recruits as they queued up outside the building. Islamic State's jihadist rival Al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula was forced out of Mukalla last month by a Saudi-led military coalition. The conflict in Yemen has displaced some 2 million people since 2011. Sports is next. The Handball Association of Ghana has officially outdoored assorted equipment donated to it by the International Handball Federation. The items are expected to boost the grassroots development of the project.
The Handball Association of Ghana's quest to take grassroots development to another level in the country has been boosted. The International Handball Federation has presented new equipment to the association for that cause. At the National Delegates Congress in Accra, officials distributed the items to representatives from the regional associations. The Secretary General of the Handball Association of Ghana, Mr. Charles Samufa, said the equipment has come at a good time.
We took delivery of 350 balls, and then we took a number of whistles, referee assorted, items, and then some other logistics, that comes into it. It's very timely because as we speak, some of our matches, we go to other, federations to borrow their equipment, which we think, is not good for the sport. So since once we have this, I think it's going to help us, in a long-term, development of the sport.
Meanwhile, the Greater Accra Handball League has commenced in earnest.
Barcelona retained the Spanish league title Saturday with an efficient 3-0 win at Granada thanks to a hat-trick from league top scorer Luis Suarez. Barca finished on 91 points, 1 point above second-placed Real Madrid, who put pressure on Barca with a 0-2 win at Deportivo La Corona, their 12th straight league win. The win in Granada clinched Barcelona's 8th league title in 12 seasons, the best ever run in the history of the club, and their third in 4 years. It was their 5th straight win, a final run which was necessary in order to keep rampant Real at bay. Suarez put them ahead in the 22nd minute by turning in a perfect centre from Jordi Alba and then made a 0-2 60 minutes later by heading in a cross from Dani Alves. We'll now bring you entertainment after this break. And now in entertainment, Ukraine's Jamala has won this year's Eurovision Song Contest held in Stockholm, Sweden. The country scored 534 points with its song 1944 about the deportation of Crimean Tatars under Joseph Stalin. Australia finished second with 511 points, while Russia, which was the favorite going into the competition, was third with 491 points. Joe and Jake, who represented the UK with their song You Are Not Alone, finished in 24th place with 62 points. Jamala was the first Crimean Tatar to perform at the contest, and her song caused controversy because of alleged political overtones. The song has angered Russia, which annexed Crimea from Ukraine in 2014, as tension between the two countries grew. Thank you for watching a News Hour. Before we go, a look again at the stories that made headlines. Pollution and other human activities along the Sakumono wetland have been identified as a leading cause of the drying up of the wetland. On this year's World Migratory Birds Day, environmental experts are asking the relevant state agencies and individuals to protect and preserve water bodies across the country. Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro has threatened to seize factories that have stopped production and jail their owners. In a speech to supporters in the capital Caracas, he said the country had to recover the means of production to counter its deep economic crisis. And 17 women who have served as ministers in France say they will no longer be silent about sexual harassment in politics. All 17 signatories to the declaration are current or former ministers. That ends News Hour. Thank you for your time.